on my MMA boxing addicts family? I'm gonna let a couple minutes go by real quick. I just want to inform you guys what we're gonna be talking about today. The Andrew Tate versus Chase Demoor weigh-ins just went down. Okay, we got some crazy things to talk about when it comes to Dean the Great being absolutely disrespectful, being absolutely ridiculous when it comes to the comments that he's making. But we cannot sit here and lie and act like it ain't selling the fight. I'll be honest with you guys, man. We knew Andrew Tate versus Chase the Moore card for a while was going to take place. We knew Amado Vargas, who is what, the second to the youngest brother out of the Vargas dynasty. We knew he was going to be competing against Dean the Great on this card. But I didn't really think too much, nothing of it. I wasn't super excited for this fight. I wasn't telling myself like, oh man, I can't wait for this. I can't wait for this. The way that I'm telling myself right now, due to what Dean the Great has done, the words that he has said, and the disrespect that he's been giving the Vargas dynasty. I have never, ever seen anybody give the Vargas dynasty, not Fernando, not Emiliano. I have never seen nobody disrespect this family, the wife, calling Fernando Vargas Sr.'s wife, Amado Vargas's mom, a torta, is, I'm telling you guys right now, my friends, that is funny, but overdoing it, all right? I understand why people are getting mad, but I do feel like Dean the Great, who knows if he's actually like this or not? I don't know. We seen him be friends with Ryan Garcia. We see him have friends in the Latino world. This could just be an attempt into selling a fight, which is why I think it is very dangerous. I think it's very dangerous if Amado Vargas is letting Dean the Great get to him. If Dean the Great, we know what he's doing. This isn't some type of, oh, this is Dean the Great's personality. Yes, we know that is how he is. He's talked a lot of crap on a lot of different fighters that he's fought, right? But we know he uses this as a tactic to get you off of your game, to get you nervous, to get you anxious to step inside that ring with him and make you make mistakes. Why? Because you're over anxious, because you're over excited. I am nervous that this nervous energy and this excitement energy that we are getting off Amado Vargas might just lower his IQ, lower his speed, lower everything that it has to do in the sport of boxing by putting this fatigue, by putting this pressure on Amado Vargas. Because think about it now. Not only is Amado Vargas going in there against a YouTuber, against a guy who played basketball in high school, a guy who hasn't been boxing his whole career. When you are the Vargas dynasty, when you are part of a dynasty that goes back before I was even born, right? With your father. So there's a lot of pressure on a model. When somebody calls your mama torta, tell me right now in the comments. Somebody let me know. By the way, hit the like button, my friends. This is the MMA Boxing Addicts channel. Let me see if I can make myself a little smaller. You can't see it. Those are some bets right there. As you can see, Ryan Garcia has put $50,000 on Anthony Joshua to get the win on the straight up money line bet. Didn't take him on the under, didn't take him on the under 2.5, 3.5, under 4.5, under 3.5 is a minus 150. Didn't even take that. Or didn't even take Anthony by KO. Now, maybe Ryan Garcia is thinking if there's something going on with this fight, who knows? It might go to decision. I don't think so at all. Personally, I do not think so at all, but it's going to be very interesting to see how this turns out. Now, Dean the Great. Do you like this tactic that Dean the Great is using in this fight with Amado Vargas? Let me know in the comments, man. I want to know, is there anybody out there that is taking absolute disrespect from what Amado Vargas, from what Amado Vargas is saying? Because my first reaction was, yes, it is absolutely disrespectful to be saying the things that he is saying. He just told Amado Vargas today during the weigh-ins. We just got done with the weigh-ins. He just told him that he's going to be taking out all the tacos and all the beans out of Amado Vargas' stomach. I get all those beans. I'm going to get all those tacos and beans out of your stomach. I'm telling you guys right now, man. It's funny, but at the same time, this is something that I can't have be played around my grandparents, right? I can't put that on speaker while I'm sitting in the living room with my grandparents because somebody actually might feel disrespected by that. So, of course, there's gonna be millions of disrespected people out there, and I'm telling you right now, anybody talks about your mom, if anybody talks about your mom and calls her a torta and talks crap on your dad, you must make them pay. Amado Vargas better come into this fight and make Dean the Great pay. Like we've never seen before. But the problem is, don't know necessarily if he's gonna be able to do that. Have you guys watched film on Amado Vargas? Somebody let me know in the comments, my friends. What's up, man? You guys leaving me alone in this right here. Let me know what's up. This is the MMA Boxing Addict channel. I'm your boy Alex Ramos, your host. We always make videos. We're always making reaction videos. We got our prediction videos up. We're gonna be going live more often now. Again, we used to go live for every single UFC, every single boxing event, but we ran into some, things here in the personal life. We had to move out. We're in a situation right now where it's not the best background. As you guys can see, I'm using this background right now. I'm literally outside the house because there's people sleeping inside my house right now. I can't be that loud, but I still continue to grind and promise that we will be bringing you guys more lives. Now, do you guys want to know who I got money on? Huh? I got $25 on Jake Paul. On Jake Paul to beat Anthony Joshua. Now, that's not my prediction. That is not my prediction. If you guys go look at my channel, go watch who I picked. That is not my prediction. But hear me out. What I think is going to happen in this fight, what I really think, my reality, me speaking from boxing sense, me having my experience, me understanding who is going to win this fight, I said Anthony Joshua is going to knock out Jake Paul. Realistically, Anthony Joshua should go inside this ring and finish Jake Paul and make it look like easy work, right? When you look at Jake Paul, some of the fighters that he's fought, some of the right hands that he's landed on Anderson the Spider Silva, right? On Nate Diaz, on just all these guys. Mike Perry, yes, he finished Mike Perry, absolutely brutalized them, but Mike Perry was a short notice step in because Mike Tyson could not come into his fight, right? Had he get sent to the hospital, fight was canceled, in steps in Mike Perry. Mike Perry, small, way smaller than Jake Paul, was what? A month notice, was not in the best shape of his life, and also, even in the UFC, was never this superior, absolutely amazing boxer. He went to the BKFC, had success, but the BKFC is completely different than the sport of boxing. I seen him land right hands on Anderson the Spider Silva, and yes, he put him down, but I did not see him knock him out. I didn't see that. I didn't see him knock out Tyrone Woodley in the first fight, right? I did not see him knock out Julio Cesar Chavez. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., former WBC middleweight champion of the world. I didn't see him knock him out. But what I did see was beautiful right hands from Jake Paul be landed on these fighters. So I say to myself, if he wasn't able to knock out Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., right? Put him to sleep one punch. If he isn't doing these in these high level fights, right? Tommy Fury wasn't able to knock him out, put him down, but wasn't able to knock him out. Why should we think that if he couldn't knock out Anderson the Spider Silva, yes, put him down, but not knock him out? Who at the time Anderson the Spider Silva fought him, he was what, 47 years old? Why should he be able to do that to Anthony Joshua? Why? It doesn't make sense. But there's always a but and everything, and I'm gonna play devil's advocate. Okay, I'm telling you guys, Anthony Joshua is gonna win this fight. But you look at some of the fighters that have beaten Anthony Joshua, Andy Ruiz Jr., Alexander Usyk, Daniel Dubois. You see that fight with Daniel Dubois, where in the first round he gets hit with an overhand right and gets dropped. He gets rocked, right? It seems like, yes, Anthony Joshua, when he gets clipped on his chin really big, his chin ain't the best. He does get spaghetti legs. Now, not saying Jake Paul is going to do that. And Daniel Dubois is a monster, high level boxer when it comes to this game. Alexander Usyk, ridiculous movement. Southpaw fighter was getting inside the pocket with Anthony Joshua, was landing beautiful left hooks. At times, it seemed like anytime that Alexander Usyk wanted to let his hands go, he had complete success. The movement, what was key in that fight against Anthony Joshua. That is what Alexander Usyk took advantage of, being a smaller guy, right? A cruiserweight fighter, moving up to the heavyweight division, not the biggest fighter. So what does that mean? I need to rely on my skills. I need to rely on my movement. I need to rely on my angles. I need to rely on my speed. And that's what he did against Anthony Joshua, right? He was boxing, moving around, never staying still at one spot, had all the time, had Anthony Joshua thinking on what was going to come next, a body shot, an angle of movement. Jake Paul doesn't possess those skills. He doesn't, right? He doesn't possess the skills of Alexander Usyk, and he doesn't possess the skills of a Mike Tyson. But But if any dog had their day, and if a Christmas miracle can come, a Christmas miracle, ho, 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 if it can come, and Anthony Joshua, for some sort of reason, makes a mistake, puts his hands down because he's taking Jake Paul lightly, it is possible, maybe 1% chance that Jake Paul can get blessed for one night with extraordinary feet work. Maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't. Comes in here and is ducking, bobbing and weaving, and is faster than Anthony Joshua because he's a smaller guy. Maybe, just maybe, could give Anthony Joshua a little bit of problems. I see that fight with Daniel Dubois. I see that fight with Andy Ruiz Jr. I watched those fights with Alexander Usyk. Jake Paul is not on those levels at all. I am not comparing them at all. But I am just being devil's advocate and trying to think of, if I was gonna pick Jake Paul to win, why did I put $25 on him to win? To win $200? Because, listen, hear me out, man. I want to watch out with what I say because I don't want to end up with any lawsuits. I don't want to end up with anybody, suing me for anything that I say. But I have seen and heard different people's takes in this fight, coaches, perspectives. And I heard one that stood out to me. Somebody said, watch, man, watch. This fight is going to be like a movie. It's going to be like a play. Watch, you're going to see drama. It's going to be a back and forth fight with drama. But Anthony Joshua may just be coming up in the end. Who knows? Jake Paul may be. It's going to be a drama fight. It may even look like a movie. And I say to myself, we know Anthony Joshua has been friends with Jake Paul before. Friends tend to go easy on each other when you step into the ring because you like the person. Maybe you don't want to make him look as bad as you want to. I'm not saying Anthony Joshua is going to do that. I'm not saying that, right? But you never know in the sport of boxing. You just never know. And if something is going on, or if Jake Paul gets the miracle of Christmas behind his back, then it is possible he wins this fight. But realistically speaking, Realistically speaking, it's not going to happen, my friends. Anthony Joshua should be able to go in here, make easy work of this fight, knock out Jake Paul, get him out of there, and get people paid. It should go under 3.5 rounds. I thought the best bet to make in this fight, if you don't want to pick a side, if you think Anthony Joshua is too expensive, him by KO's a minus 400. The under 3.5 is set at minus 150. You could go to the under 4.5, which is in the what, minus 200s, and the over 5.5. That is less than a minus 500. And any one of those might just hit and should hit based off of reality thinking of boxing. All right, my friends. Now, we never know how this is going to come out. Like I said, Anthony Joshua has been a friend of Jake Paul. He may give him a couple early rounds to, get him a little excited, not just kill Jake Paul. But if Anthony Joshua is coming into this fight with disrespect, with knowing that the whole boxing world is relying on him to win this fight, you got boxing enthusiasts, you got people out here that claim they are experts, that say it is impossible for Jake Paul to win this fight. Anthony Joshua should be able to hold it down for all those people, walk away with a victory tonight, and call it a night, man. This Netflix event is gonna be absolutely insane. It was supposed to be Javante Tank Davis, right? Javante Tank Davis. This was supposed to be his night. He was supposed to be fighting against Jake Paul, but in comes in the civil suit. Now, the civil suit, man, whether or not he did it, because I've seen claims for Javante Tank Davis's team saying that she's lying, saying that Jake Paul and them were just looking for a way to get out of this fight. They don't know anything that's going on. But then I've also heard claims of there being a video out there of Javante Tank Davis grabbing his female out of the gentleman's club that she was working at as a bartender, grabbing her, slapping her, pulling her through the hallway, taking her out to the garage, I guess hitting her, a bunch of different allegations. Now, we don't know if it's true or not yet. We're going to have to wait and see. Javante Tank Davis having a history for these type of things, but it's going to be interesting to see how things play out. Now, Javante Tank Davis was supposed to go in here against Jake Paul, and in my opinion, I had Javante Davis beating Jake Paul. I did. I had him beating him. And then the civil suit comes. We're scrambling for a new opponent. Francis Ngannou, Nate Diaz. Francis turns down the fight, ex-UFC heavyweight champion. I don't know why. It turns out he's one of the most unluckiest guys in the last 2 years when you look at every single thing that's happening to him. Then we hear the breaking news that Anthony Joshua will be stepping in on 1 month notice to take on Jake Paul live before the year ends in his return fight since fighting against Daniel Demoor. And I say to myself, man, this should be a guaranteed victory. We've seen Turkey Al-Sheikh, Eddie Hearn make these big announcements. Tyson Fury's coming out of retirement. That in 2026 we will be guaranteed. You see, I'm rooting for Jake Paul. Hey man, it's gonna be an exciting fight, bro. Honestly, what Jake Paul has been doing for women's boxing, for giving people paychecks, looking for different avenues in the sport of boxing to help other people, I respect it. I respect it a lot. As a UFC lover as well, it pissed me off when I seen Jake Paul knock out Ben Askren. He knocked out Nate Robinson. For NBA fans, he beat Nate Diaz. He beat Anderson the Spider Silva, who's the greatest of all time to a lot of people. He beat Tyrone Woodley, and then he knocked Tyrone out. And was putting on this persona, right, where it was Jake Paul versus the UFC, and he was beating all these guys. He was beating them all. And it seemed like everybody was hating Jake Paul. Come on, man. I can't wait till this guy gets knocked out. Ooh, Nate Diaz. Let's go, Nate. Let's go. And we all seen how all those fights turned out. Now, I actually feel like the switch has flipped a little bit. I don't feel like necessarily it is Jake Paul taking on UFC fighters and the UFC fighters absolutely hating Jake Paul. They still do. But now, Since Jake Paul has transitioned into fighting boxers, what everybody has been asking for, what everybody has been begging Jake Paul to do is to stop fighting MMA fighters, fight real boxers, get ranked, which he is, in by any of the four sanctioning bodies. That is what we wanted. So he makes that change and starts competing against boxers, right? But once he does this, it seems like the boxing world now is against Jake Paul. It seems like the boxing world hates Jake Paul. When Jake Paul was going in there and beating all these UFC fighter, basketball players, and everything, the tables have switched, and now Jake Paul is taking on boxers. And beating Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. gave him a little bit of firepower, make them ranked by the sanctioning body. And what happened the next day that we found out that Jake Paul was ranked top 15? Reaction video after reaction video after reaction video. The whole world was tripping. I don't give a fuck about women's boxing. Hey, I'll be honest with you, bro. I don't keep up with the women's boxing as much. We just watched Alicia Bumgarner's fights, Clarissa Shields fights, Amanda Serrano's fights, and every now and then some MVP cards that do have women boxing and Pro Box TV cards that have a couple women's boxing in there, right? They just came to the same Marcena at Fresno. They had a women's championship boxing fight. I watched it. It was pretty exciting. But I totally understand you when it comes to watching, the whole thing. When it comes to watching female boxing, not the most exciting. When it comes to the fights, not the most exciting. It's Clarissa Shields that I see who's stepping in there all the time. That is putting great shows. Getting Rick Ross to come in there, come in and walk in with her. But other females, yeah, I completely agree with you, my friend. I completely agree with you. Same thing for the UFC females. The UFC females, I keep up with them because I have to. That's the sport that I cover. I cover boxing too, but boxing, it's such a broad sport. So many different types of things to cover. So many different boxing organizations to cover. So many rankings. So many sanctioning bodies. So it's a little tougher. But same thing for the UFC, my friend. It's like, every now and then when a women's fight comes, it's just one of those times where you're like, all right, I'm going to take a break real quick. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to go make myself some food real quick until the next fight starts. That's how I feel about those fights. Now, when you look at the Friday night card tonight, live on Netflix, there's a bunch of women fighters on this card. So there might be a lot of breaks today. We might be chilling. We might be watching it because I'm having a barbecue today. As you guys can, you guys can't even see. I got the thing in the way. We're outside. We're gonna have a barbecue today. I'm putting the TV outside. We're gonna watch these fights live. So we're gonna be forced to watch all these. Now I will be chilling, barbecuing. So we're gonna be busy at the same time, my friends. But hold on, let me check my phone real quick. Boy, only got 1% battery in it. All right. Hold on, my guys. Let me take a little break real quick. You guys know what's up, man. It's Wake and Bake. It is 9:51 in the morning. We're a couple hours away from the live event, and the weigh-ins just went down. Let me know what you guys think